I'm not making any money. This is for educational purposes only. Fair use. Fair use. Yeah, this is a CNN World. This is a live update. It says Venezuela tense after capture of Maduro. This was January 3rd, 2026. So this year is already starting out with a bang, right? And it shows how desperate Esau is. Maduro in U.S. custom, right? And this was put on Sunday, right the next day after they took them. They bombed Venezuela and actually took the president. Obviously, captured him, took him, which really they kidnapped him really. So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory, infinite honor and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. Like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father, and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To you sisters, you Achwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Ram Yahawada with the lesson. This is we what we covered. Says Moderna on U.S. soil captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is being held at Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn and will face drug and weapon charges, right? And then the hypocrisy of Donald Trump, and America, because they're asking for the pardon of Benjamin Netanyahu for war crimes, and he's done far worse and egregious things. Which, not to mention, you're being the full definition of being the devil. Which that's why you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, you should see what they're doing, right? Everyone can see that there's no way that you take a speedboat from all the way down there to all the way up here to so-called deliver these what they call street pharmaceuticals, where they're 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 hurting the citizens when they don't give a damn about the citizens, and nor could you, these little bitty old boats that you're blowing up and all this other stuff, and that in itself is a war crime, right? This guy's in a violation, right? But the earth is in the hands of the wicked, right? Job 9:24. I mean, speaking loud and clear, but somehow the Israelites, right, starting with GMS Apostle Sahar, we just bugged out, just some bugged out Jakes who woke up disgruntled and decided to say, oh, you know what? Oh, it said black here, and it said black, and black, 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 black. So I'm just gonna say I'm an Israelite, and because we're disgruntled. No, the Bible and the prophecies fitting who it befits, man. Right, right. I believe what is it let me see if I can find it. Yeah, exactly. This is what I was talking about. Right? King David. Yeah, and it is King David. I don't want to say and it not be David, so it is David. So to the chief musician, a psalm of David, deliver me, O Yahweh, right? Bahasham Yahweh Shai, because that's what we say now, because we have a mediator now, which is Yahweh Shai. So that's why we say Bahasham Yahweh Shai, which means in the name, Yahweh Shai, which means savior, right? From the evil man, right? Who's the evil man? The earth is given to the hands of the wicked, right? They're Job 9:24. They're running the world. They're doing their thing. Preserve me from the violent men. Are they not violent? Right? Though they try to portray it and put it off on Jake as if the most violent person on the planet is a so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American, because there's gangs and this and that. But it only comes from the violent nature of the ruler, right? As the scriptures say, as the ruler are, so are the people, right? And that's Jake following this ruler, and don't want to be separated from uh um from this you know their hell, right? Their prison, right? They're content with being a slave, being an underling of Esau, right? You know, which imagine mischiefs in their heart, which is the mind, right? La'ab, the mind. That's what heart means. It's your mind, right? Because you can't imagine something in your beating heart. It just pumps your blood, right? It's talking about your mind. Continually, they are gathered together for war. And what is this? All this is gonna end up creating. It's gonna end up creating a war atmosphere, right? No one's gonna trust America, right? Yeah. So it says what? Verse 3, Psalms 40:3 says that they sharpen their tongue like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips, right? And that's basically what they're saying. Lies, poisonous lies. Oh yeah, he's a big time drug dealer, and he has these weapons and this and that, and you basically you're putting them up like a war crime, or so to speak, when that's what you're committing. Number lies, right? It says keep me, O Yahweh, from the hands of the wicked, right? And that's our ultimate prayer, man. Right? Because that's what Nicholas Maduro ended up in the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent man, and that's Esau, man. So you're seeing what's gonna, as you can see, he's gonna come down with great wrath, knowing he had but a short time. This is a move of desperation. He has but a short time. Preserve me from the violent man who have purposed to overthrow my goings, right? And that's their whole purpose, man. Right? That's what he did to Moderno. I believe Moderno would be an Israelite, right? They're out there bombing, kidnapping Israelites, yet and still bombing Israelites in Nigeria, messing over Israelites over in Haiti, in the Congo, And yeah, and of course here in the States. So this is a worldwide thing. These devils is going after the Israelites, right? Yeah. So this is keep on going. Come back to here. This CNN says Trump planned for Venezuela. President Trump said U.S. will run the country. God damn, see? Yo, is the violent man. He is the violent man until a judicious trans 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 transition or judicious transition can happen. He also said the U.S. will seize Venezuela's massive oil reserve, huh? Right?
We are deeply worried about the situation in Venezuela following the U.S. military operation over the weekend. It is clear that the operation undermined a fundamental principle of international law, that states must not threaten or use force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. The U.S. has justified its intervention on the grounds of the Venezuelan government's long-standing and appalling human rights record. But accountability for human rights violations cannot be achieved by unilateral military intervention in violation of international law. The people of Venezuela deserve accountability through a fair, victim-centered process. Far from being a victory for human rights, this military intervention, which is in contravention of Venezuelan sovereignty and the UN Charter, damages the architecture of international security, making every country less safe.
Yeah, so this is Job chapter 30, verse 5. They were driven from amongst men. They cry after them as after a thief, right? And that's the Edomites, man, right? That's been their MO for quite some time, right? And that's going to happen again. They're going to get chased out of the world this time. Not just from amongst men, they're going to get chased out of the entire world, right? Because they're the thief. To dwell in the cliffs of the valleys and in caves of the earth and in the rocks, right? Because this is the initially in the end where you get the word Caucasian from, but they were in the caves before that in Mount Seir. But they were in the Caucasus Mountains where they're proudly call themselves European Caucasians, which really is Asia. You're Asia, right? And basically, they're you know that's that caveman, right? Captain Caveman. Yeah. So this is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say woe, which means judgment, right? Weeping and gnashing of teeth, ultimately, right? But it's going to be a great judgment to him that increaseth that which is not his, right? And that's what they've been doing. You're the real drug dealer, but you want to say someone else is the drug dealer, right? You got plenty of weapons, plenty of drugs, right? I mean, why do America have so many drug addicts in the first place? Why would this be a great place to set up shop? right? And then you talk nice to China. Please don't send your fentanyl over here. But you know that thing is still rampant, and China's still making it, and China's still sending it. See, but China, you ain't finna go up. You ain't finna buck up against China. You finna go up against someone small, because you know you're violent, but you're violent to who you can bully, right? It says yeah, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? Which is not much longer, right? Your days are shortened, which you know that. That's why you're coming down with great wrath. That's why you're making uh what do they call it? Unilateral moves. You're making moves that you're not supposed to make via you know these what do you call it? These agreements, these treaties and things that you're supposed to have. International law, really. You're not supposed to be able to go in. You're breaking all sorts of laws, right? It says, right, which I believe that's why you're leaving the vice president in charge, so it doesn't look like you're just completely violating it, right? It says, that increases that which is not his. How long? And to him that layeth himself with thick clay, and that's ultimately where you're at. You have plenty of debt, abatiyat debt, and in these countries, we're going to start not using the American dollar, right? And basically, what do you call it? Ostracizing uh, the American economy, so to speak, right? Which that abatiyat, that debt, is gonna have your your economy, because you plan on collapsing the economy anyway, but you want it to be on your time. See, if they do certain things, it's going to be out of sync and out of order in the timely fashion you want to be. You want it to collapse so that you could bring in the digital, you know, the digital dollars, right? The stable coin, right? Yeah. So just continue on this. The world, CNN World, in this article, um, this is uncertain future. Venezuelan's Supreme Court has directed Vice President Del C Del C yeah Del C Rodriguez to assume the power and duties of acting president. Meanwhile, oppo- opposition leader Maria. Oh yeah, because basically she's the side of Trump, right? Maria Corina Corna Machigo Machigo has called for opposition candidate to assume power. Right? Yeah, because that's what they wanted to do. That was a regime change. So they're not trying to say that they have just going to change it and do it right in front of your face, but they're calling for it. So this other person is supposedly, and for opposition candidate to assume power, Venezuelans across the country and abroad have expressed joy and hope, right? Which is a lie, because they were behind Maduro, and that's a lie. This is a thing that they're spinning off, because they want to spin that off. Oh, see, they're happy. No, they're not happy, but also ap- apprehensions, apprehension and anxiety, right? Yeah, you would be apprehensive, right? Because this devil is the devil. He's gonna say he's there to help you, peace and safety, but what? It's gonna be your demise. It's gonna be your destruction, right? Apprehension. See, apprehension definition is anxiety or fear of something bad or unpleasant will happen. Yeah, see, the devil done came in there. They wasn't apprehensive, right? But before you went and did that, what you did, kidnapping Israelites, yet and still 2026, and they still kidnapping Israelites, right? Yeah, this is Exodus chapter 21, verse 16. And he that stealeth a man, right? And that's what you did. You stole that man, all right? And selleth him, right? Which that's what you're doing. You're selling him up the river. You're trying to say that he's the drug dealer, and he has weapons and this and that, right? But you're the biggest drug dealer, right? America's the biggest drug dealer and the biggest drug user, right? In the world, right? The youngest country, smallest population, uses the most amount of drugs, right? You know, um, you and those what do they call Purdue? I guess the family was I don't know if it's the Purdue or DuPont. Yeah, one of them has to do with that movie. What was that? Um, Painkiller. They did a movie on it on Netflix, showing you your you gloat at that, right? You're the biggest drug dealer who, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And so this guy, Nicholas Maduro, will and well, all the Israelites will end up being found in your hands. So this place that you're so eagerly trying to come down with great wrath, knowing that you got but a short time, um, it can't stand. It ain't gonna happen, right? The Lord said, "Surely this is from the Most High. Surely, yeah, shall surely be put to death." Right? Yeah. So this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Right? You have ears, you can hear. You hear what we're saying, and it vexes you, right? This is basically, it's eating you at your core, and you have to figure out a way to bring in uh martial law, right? order out of KO, right? And you're going to basically do us the same way. You're going to come up with some type of lie to come in against us. Oh, they're the T word, they're blah, 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 they're domestic T words, so on and so forth, so on, whatever, that you have to come up with. And you're going to come in, you know. But you have to understand, he that leadeth into captivity shall go, wait, what's that? Shall go into captivity. Pretty much like that, surely. Shall surely, shall go into captivity. And no if, no maybe, right? Well, maybe if I create some laser weapons and create drones and nuclear weapons and if I can create AI and if I can create Palantir, I'm just maybe a possibility I won't go into slavery. No, surely go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must, not maybe, not might, but must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints, the Israelites, the true Israelites, right? Those are in the ghettos, the barrios, the reservations here in America and all over the world, right? Yeah, so this is saying what? Back to here, it says flights to resume, flights through the Caribbean airspace were set to resume from midnight Eastern time after a large part of it was closed after the strike. Some airlines say they plan to restart service by Sunday. So they and kidnapped this man. They got him on phony charges, but life goes on, huh?
Palantir is a company that many people have heard of, but they don't know exactly what it does. Today I'm going to explain how Palantir has become a key part of the U.S. military-industrial complex and how its corporate executives profit from war. Now, Palantir is a company that provides software primarily to Western governments, especially the U.S. government. It has been given huge contracts from the U.S. military and the Department of Homeland Security and the notoriously violent immigration agency, ICE. Palantir is involved in mass surveillance and so-called predictive policing, which is exactly the kind of thing we were warned about in dystopian science fiction movies. And the majority of Palantir's revenue comes from government contracts. The executives of Palantir are extremely hawkish, especially Palantir's CEO, Alex Karp, who's a warmonger constantly pushing for more war. In fact, he has said very openly that he expects that in the near future, the U.S. is going to be fighting a three-front war against Russia, Iran, and China. And it's not an exaggeration to say that Palantir is preparing the U.S. government for World War III, and it hopes to profit and make a lot of money, especially by saber-rattling against China. Palantir is also very close to the Donald Trump administration. Trump has given Palantir tons of contracts for multiple different U.S. government agencies, and in particular, the Trump administration is relying on Palantir to conduct mass surveillance of Americans, of U.S. citizens, to compile and synthesize data from all U.S. government agencies in order to help the government spy better on its own citizens. And because Palantir is so close to Trump and his allies, as soon as Trump won the presidential election in November 2024, Palantir's stock skyrocketed and broke records as investors assumed correctly that the Trump administration would give more and more contracts to Palantir. However, it soon became clear that Palantir stock was extremely overvalued, with price to earnings ratios that were absolutely off the charts and did not make any sense. They were completely illogical based on manic speculation. It was in a bubble, and that bubble popped in November 2025, a year later, especially when renowned investors like Michael Burry of the movie The Big Short announced that he was shorting Palantir's stock. And this freaked out Palantir's corporate executives, especially the CEO, Alex Karp. Palantir is a company that
Yeah, so this is Psalms chapter 73, verse 7. Said their eyes stand out with fatness, man. So this what they're thinking about. Hey, we're gonna get this money. We're gonna take the reserves. We're gonna use this. And we're gonna use this to our benefit, right? You know, you're gonna be able to use the money to make more nuclear weapons, right? You're gonna be able to prepare yourself to fight against China, right? Fight against Russia. Strategically, be able to benefit yourself to buy Greenland, right? Because that's been the talks, to buy Greenland, right? And it says they have, their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. You know, whatever you could think of in your heart, meaning your mind, whatever you could think of in your mind that you will want, you could have, you could do this. They have it all, bro. They have it all consorted to this world, right? The one thing they don't have is eternal life, which they're trying to do that. They're trying to use, the AI. They're trying to use science. They're trying to find a way that they can live forever. And if they can't, they'll try to do the like the cryogenic way. Maybe they can freeze their cells, freeze their sperm, do something so that way they can come back, right? That's their hopes. That's what they're thinking. And if they can put everybody as a perpetual slave via through the micro C-hip, right? You know, this digital technocrat, right, society, they can, they continue to rule forever. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning what? Oppression. So yeah, they're up there bragging. Yeah. Many was it Cubans died trying to protect, because, and that's Vanessa. So we can see that Trump is coming against the tribes, plain out and simple, right? They 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 are corrupt. They speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily, right? Loftily, right? Up high. Like nothing could bring them down, right? It says they set their mouths against the heavens, right? Right? That's against you Israelites, against the Most High, against Yahweh Shai, because they're preparing. They have their six branches of the military, right? They're about to push. There's the 6G, right? To push forth their agenda for the global surveillance, right? And they have their was it six part of the military, 6G. There's another six that they have, because that that goes into that number who they are. Dang, what is it? Trying to think of it. Well, because it says it's the number of man, right? Well, you have six continents, right? Even though they try to tell you there's seven, right? There's six parts of the earth, right? Right, because it does says the waters being people, right? And that's what they plan on doing to what is it to have the world under their thumb, right? To imprison the world. This is their plans, right? Right? Which, yeah, this is their plans, and they have all these countries, even Russia, even though they're so-called against Russia. Russia's pushing forth the digital ID, right? China's pushing forth the digital ID. North Korea, South Korea, then literally the entire world is pushing forth the 6G and digital ID. You have to ask yourself why that is. If they're beefing so much, and you have the BRICS nations, which is saying that they're taking their thing and they're backing it by the by rubies and gold and and all these different things. Why do you need a digital ID then? Won't you truly buck up against the thing? But he's not, because this is the way the earth is giving it to the hands of the wicked, and this is the way the wicked wants to go. And this is the speech. This is the speech they've been having for years through the world summits, and that's why I said in there it says, and their tongues walk through the earth, and this is part of the plan. Novos Ordo Seclorum, right? This has been their plan. Yeah, so this is Zechariah chapter 11, verse 4. Thus saith Yahweh, right? That's the Father. Yahweh, he is the existing one. Bahasham, which means in the name. Yahweh Shai, right? The reason why we say that, because Yahweh Shai is our mediator, right? You cannot go through the Father but through him. He is the door. He is the way. My power, right? Which Yahweh is our power. He's even Yahweh Shai's power, right? Feed the flock of the slaughter, right? And that's what we're here to do. We're here to warn you and try to feed you the right things, to warn you from being slaughtered. But a lot of Jake rather listen to Esau, even though Esau has this cruel mentality, which everybody can see it. You can see that. Everybody's saying that, that make America great again is just another way to say white supremacy. Well, if you know that, and then we're telling you you're the Israelites, and we're telling you that the Lord is going to send forth his son, which his name is Yahweh Shai, which means savior, right? Or deliverer, and we're going to be delivered. Why won't all you Jakes get it? But you won't, right? The Lord. That's why the Lord said feed them, and that's why the Lord's only dealing with the elect on this side at this point, right? Whose possessors slay them. See, and that's ultimately what they're doing. They can just snatch you up, kidnap you, grab you, slay you, right? And hold themselves not guilty, because that's what you know what? He's the drug dealer. He has weapons, he has drug dealer, and we're gonna trial him, right? But meanwhile, he's saying the guy who's over there G-siding an entire people, right? Doing ethnic cleansing over there, that he needs a pardon. Netanyahu needs a pardon. Hey man, you can't make this up. Showing you that the earth is given to the hands of the wicked, and they hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them, right? Take a man and sell it them, right? Say, bless be the Lord, right? They go, oh yeah, hey, we believe in God. Bible believing Christian. You know, God bless these here United States. You know, with manifest destiny from sea to shining sea. And as you can see, I went over there and just kidnapped me another Spanish-speaking nigga, man. That's all you is, and it don't mean nothing to them, man. You're the Israelites, man, and the Lord is going to show you, and you're gonna know it by death by pain. The Lord is about to punish you, Israelites, man, because you Israelites don't want to get it right. So the Lord is sending your enemy against you, and He's declaring Himself not guilty. How can you go to a whole nother country, go to another place, is still a president, and then come back like you ain't did nothing? Right? Because that's what the Lord said. They hold themselves not guilty. Right? And they that sell them say, blessed be Yahweh, or well, they don't say Yahweh, because you know the name of the Lord Yahweh is a terror unto the heathen, right? But they'll say the Lord and God and Jesus and Jehovah, Yahweh, Yeshua. I'm a God believing John 3:16. They'll say those things, right? And love thy neighbor, right? For I am rich, right? And that's true. Hey, we're gonna take this oil reserve. We're gonna do something with it. I'm rich. We're the richest country in the world. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. That's their mentality, man. And their own shepherds pity them not, right? Say, hey, look, I ain't got nothing to do with it. Yeah, we know him. He's a leader, but he wasn't the right leader. We're gonna put it our own puppet leader. Yeah, he didn't pity them. He should have listened to us, right? We're gonna put in these apostasies. Well, that's what Apostle Hart called it. The year of apostasy, sellouts, and agents, right? Yeah, they're gonna put forth these things throughout the earth, man, because you need a great deception, right? So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, shalom to the Israelite foreigners, whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you achwathim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence and above all, and Chom Yasharallah.